Hello and welcome back to the final George Washington News episode of the semester.
We will be talking about Trump's ongoing trade war, the future of home rule in D.C., and protests in Turkey over a politician's arrest.
We will also cover the new on-campus Panda Express, as well as updates from our lifestyle correspondents on what to do around GW to de-stress from finals. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to the show. I'm Abigail Brubaker.
And I'm Nina Rodriguez. As always, a lot has happened recently, so let's get started. News about the 2028 Olympic Games recently dropped this Wednesday. It is reported that the Los Angeles 2028 Games will feature 28 more medal events than the previous Games. The number of female athletes will exceed the number of male athletes for the first time in Olympics history. Finally, the Games will feature events with both men and women in artistic gymnastics and golf.
Two Republican congressmen from Tennessee and Utah have proposed the Bowser Act, which, if passed, would eliminate D.C. home rule. Here's Ellie Bavey with the story.
If you're not a DC local, you may or may not have heard the term home rule before. According to the ACLU, home rule is shorthand for the DC Home Rule Act of 1973, which allowed DC residents to elect the mayor, council members, and advisory neighborhood commissioners who run day-to-day affairs in the district. Essentially, it allows DC to run its own city as opposed to being under the sole jurisdiction of the federal government. However, two Republican congressmen, Senator Andy Ogles from Tennessee and Senator Mike Lee from Utah, recently introduced the Bringing Oversight to Washington and Safety to Every Resident Act, or the Bowser Act, named for D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser. This act would effectively dissolve D.C. home rule and strip the district of their independent powers. Senators Ogles and Lee are accusing Mayor Bowser of governing with a, quote, radically progressive regime that left our nation's capital in a crime-ridden shambles, end quote, according to Ogles' website. Mayor Bowser has responded to this act by doubling down on her goal of getting D.C. statehood, saying, quote, home rule is a limited self-government, but what we should be focused on is our pathway to becoming a 51st state, end quote, according to Fox 5 D.C. Bowser has not commented directly on the bill being named after her or criticisms of home rule. Bowser has continued to show her support for D.C. statehood at an event on GW on February 10th, saying that without it, D.C. residents, quote, are treated as second-class citizens, end quote. According to the Hilltop, if passed, the Bowser Act would grant Congress power over D.C.'s ability to pass laws on issues like police reform, tax rates, and zoning, as well as the city's budget and local taxes. The bill is still in its early stages and has not been deliberated by Congress. I'm Ellie Bavey for GW-TV. Back to you.
Thanks, Ellie. The Trump administration recently announced that they are freezing federal funding amounting to $790 from Northwestern University and $1 billion from Cornell University. A White House official said, quote, the money was frozen in connection with several ongoing credible and concerning Title VI investigations, end quote. Both of these universities are undergoing investigations of anti-Semitism and racial discrimination stemming from efforts to promote diversity.
Since last month, protests have broken out in the country of Turkey after the arrest of Ekrem İmamoğlu. He was originally selected to be the Republican People Party's candidate for the 2028 election. Kelsey Mazaregos has the story.
The young generations of citizens in Turkey have taken to the streets to protest the current president, Tayyip Erdogan. This comes after the arrest of Istanbul's mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu, who has been known to be in opposition of the current Turkish president. He called upon the Turkish public to protest the government. İmamoğlu said, quote, we will rip away this coup, this dark stain in our democracy, altogether, end quote. His words prompted the largest wave of street protests in Turkey in more than a decade. Protesters have been primarily peaceful and more than 2,000 have been detained. A student protester named İzzet İsteyen had to say this about the Turkish government. He said, quote, I think growing up under one regime makes us as a generation looking for change, looking for proof we live in a democracy, end quote. As İmamoğlu awaits his trial, how the public and the media respond to his sentencing will be closely watched internationally. For GW News, I'm Kelsey Mazaregos.
Thanks, Kelsey. Last Saturday, tens of thousands of people came to D.C. as part of a nationwide protest against President Donald Trump and his administration. At least 1,300 hands-off rallies were organized by more than 150 groups in all 50 states, according to the Washington Post. In D.C., people from all across the country flooded the National Mall with an estimated attendance of 20,000. The White House had planned a sporting garden tour for that same day, but had to postpone it to Sunday due to the influx of protesters in the area.
Ukraine has accused China of supplying soldiers to Russia's front line. Ukrainian President Zelensky claims that there have been 155 identified Chinese citizens fighting for the Russian army. However, China has denied the allegations that they have provided Russian troops with their soldiers.
U.S. President Donald Trump has embarked on a global trade war that has shaken Wall Street and stock markets around the world. Nicole Akumite has the story.
Wednesday, U.S. President Donald Trump announced Liberation Day tariffs. The administration embarked on a trade war by invoking hefty tariffs across the globe. On April 5th, a baseline 10% tariff went into effect on all U.S. trade partners, and reciprocal tariffs are planning to go into effect on April 9th. While these tariffs were meant to showcase American strength in a global trade war, the U.S. stock exchange was negatively shaken by these announcements. Just one day after the tariffs were announced, all three major U.S. stock markets closed down and declared it their worst day since June of 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic. NASDAQ fell 6%, S&P 500 dropped 4.8%, and Dow Jones dropped 3.9%. Additionally, two of the largest American companies, Apple and Nvidia, had lost a combined value of $470 billion US dollars. Both NASDAQ and S&P 500 stocks reached a bear market, which indicates they were experiencing a 20% decline from its recent peak. On the world stage, President Trump has declared a 20% tariff across the European Union, with higher tariffs on steel, aluminum, and cars. Leaders from all over the EU are planning to vote on tariff conditions in response to U.S. steel and aluminum tariffs. In Asia, China has proposed a 34% retaliatory tariff towards the U.S., to which U.S. President Trump has threatened a 50% tariff on goods imported to the United States. To our neighbors, Canada and Mexico will be exempt from the 10% baseline tariff, but will be subject to 25% tariffs imposed on steel and aluminum. Among these tariffs are technology, autos, liquor, lumber, pharmaceuticals, and other essential products. The U.S. Senate approved a measure that rebukes Trump's tariffs on Canada in a 51-48 vote, where 4 Republicans joined a unanimous Democratic vote. These 4 senators are Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, Mitch McConnell, and Rand Paul. President Trump claims to remain strong on his Liberation Day announcements, leaving many economists and global leaders scared about the future of a global trade war. For GWN, I'm Nicole.
Thanks, Nicole. Up next, more headlines and a check-in on the weather for the summer. Stay tuned.
Flyers. Andrei Svechnikov makes his return this season.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Vivian Williams with the weather. We're coming off the tail end of cherry blossom season with peak bloom already behind us. I loved seeing everyone's cherry blossom pics down at the mall. But if you didn't get a chance to go down to the tidal basin, don't worry. We have some beautiful blossoms and tulips right here in Cogan, as I'm sure many of y'all saw. I hope y'all have been enjoying the sunshine on campus. Spring has finally sprung with summer right in sight. While many of us are waiting for a return of that nice, summery 80-degree weather from a couple weeks ago, it's looking like we'll have to wait a little longer. So until then, keep those umbrellas handy as you're walking around. This weekend, as both Friday and Saturday, as you can see here, we're expecting highs in the 54 degrees with a low of 46 and quite a bit of showers tomorrow, unfortunately. With Saturday, we have slightly less rain, as you can see, with a high of 50 and a low of 44. So keep those sweaters on hand. However, Monday is relatively warm with a high of 70, which will be a nice change starting out the week, and a low of 58. As you can see, into Tuesday, we've still got those partial clouds with a high of 66 and a low of 46. Now we're going to be turning to our live weather coverage, where you can see light rain is slightly approaching the Washington, D.C. area. This won't affect us too much. We're going to have a high in the 40 through the night and a gentle breeze. So it'll be pretty calm weather, but again, keep the umbrella handy, keep the sweater handy. Don't get caught in one of those showers like I am always doing. And this summer, if you're in the D.C. area, please apply sunscreen daily. Stay safe from those UV rays. And if you've never had a D.C. summer before, those mosquitoes can be nasty. So put on that bug spray. It goes a long way to protect from mosquitoes and other insects. That's all for the weather. I hope y'all have a great rest of the semester and a very restful summer. See you this fall, GW. Hey, guys.
Hey, thank you so much for that wonderful weather report.
Of course.
Thank you. I'm really looking forward to summer, but I'm glad that my parents didn't take all of my sweaters back home.
Oh my gosh, I know. It's still chilly. I know last week we had like 80 degrees. We were sweating, and now we're back with the umbrellas. It's ridiculous.
Honestly, I'm not really the biggest fan of warm weather, so I don't really mind that much that it is a cooler week coming up.
Summer is definitely not, for the heat, not my
favorite
sweaty. Season as well.
Yeah, but I hope you guys have a great summer. What are you guys doing?
Hopefully I don't have to wear a sweater.
Oh,
hopefully
gosh.
it is summer weather.
Yeah, hopefully we actually get some sun.
I'm looking forward to good weather because I'm going to be working at a summer camp this summer.
Fun.
So good weather is always what I want during the summer.
Yes, always, always.
For sure. Well, thank you so much, Vivian.
Thank you, Vivian.
Thank you.
Up next, Panda Express has opened more than 3 weeks ago, becoming the new campus hotspot. Although lines aren't down the block anymore, the new on-campus dining partner serves hundreds of patrons a day. Simone Submergin has the story.
Panda Express opened on campus last month after months of delays and student anticipation for its opening. The week of Panda Express's grand opening with a soft launch in short hours, lines were out the door, with staff serving 450 customers during the couple hours they were open on that Sunday. Plans to open a Panda Express on campus in the Science and Engineering Building were announced by officials in April 2024, with an expected opening date of fall 2024. Construction delays pushed back its grand opening to set on Wednesday. The restaurant accepts only 2 meal plans for a swipe between the all-access and revolutionary 85, where students can use 1 meal swipe per week. Meal swipe allows students to get 1 entree, 1 side, and a small fountain beverage. Students on other meal plans are able to use their dining dollars last daily. Entree options include orange chicken, beef, or a vegetable substitute. Sides include fried rice and chow mein. Students are able to get a canned water or fountain beverage with their meal swipe. Canned sodas are also available for those using dining dollars. Officials said Chick-fil-A is expected to open in the coming months and will be located in Richmond Hall. For GWN, I'm Simone Submergin.
Thanks, Simone. The Supreme Court ruled Monday that the Trump administration could pause a deadline to return a mistakenly deported Maryland man to the U.S. Kilmar Abrego Garcia was detained by ICE on March 12th after being stopped while driving his child and subsequently deported to a maximum security prison in El Salvador. While ICE has acknowledged that Abrego Garcia was deported due to a, quote, administrative error, the government argues that U.S. courts have no power to order his return to the United States.
GW's program board announced Wednesday that the band The Driver Era will headline this year's Spring Fling. The concert will be held on Saturday, April 19th, and doors will open at 7 p.m. at the Smith Center. The Driver Era features Ross and Rocky Lynch and will come to GW as part of their ongoing world tour. Tickets have not gone on sale yet, but the program board says they will be released soon and that a student discount will be available.
Now for a special feature, the Hispanic and immigrant community has been an increase of political advocacy, and specifically through the use of music this year, due to targeted attacks from the new Trump administration. Here's Marlene Arentis to tell us more.
The Hispanic and Latino population have been in the midst of a new era of political advocacy in 2025, which is a result of the targeted executive orders from the new Trump administration that's affecting hundreds of thousands of Hispanic and Latino Americans who live in the country. Trump's Protecting the Meaning and Value of American Citizenship executive order tries to redefine the meaning of birthright citizenship, which affects those who don't have permanent status in the country, like temporary protective status. Additionally, the Protecting the American People Against Invasion executive order instructs for the deportation of migrants, especially of those who have crossed the southern border. Lastly, the designating English as the official language of the United States executive order majorly targets those who speak Spanish, which is the second most spoken language in the United States, according to the 2019 census. According to NBC News, a Texan child and U.S. citizen who has brain cancer was deported with their parents and 4 other siblings. According to their attorney, the parents had no criminal history and were deported just for not showing their valid immigration status on their way to an emergency medical checkup. A similar case happened around the DMV area just last month. According to NBC4, a naturalized U.S. citizen, Jency Machado, who voted for President Trump, was detained in Manassas, Virginia. Machado said agents surrounded his pickup truck, asking for a different man but with his address. Eventually, he was handcuffed and taken into custody, though Machado offered his ID and said he was a U.S. citizen. When ultimately he showed ICE his real ID, he was let go. Machado was said to have second thoughts about Trump after the situation occurred. Now, just a couple of weeks ago, a Maryland man who had been in this country for 14 years was deported to El Salvador's Mecca prison. Gilmar Armando Abrego Garcia, according to CNN, was deemed a gang member of MS-13 because of his clothing and a word from an informant. His attorneys denied this claim and said, and just this week, judges claimed the deportation, quote, wholly lawless and, quote, a grievous error. These executive orders and targets towards the Latino and immigrant populations have inspired stronger advocacy at the GW campus. The formerly known undocumented GW changed their name to the Immigration Liberation Coalition at GW. On January 27, 2025, they posted on their Instagram, "We're officially changing our name from undocumented GW to ILC at GW, the Immigration Liberation Coalition. This new name embodies our values, our mission, and our relentless fight for justice. In a time of rising attacks on immigrants and refugees, we stand stronger than ever in our commitment to solidarity, mobilization, and liberation." Students at GW aren't the only ones participating in political advocacy against these executive orders, as in Los Angeles, many went out to protest the mass deportations in early February and had a major freeway blocked, according to the Associated Press. Jorge Benitez Perez, a community organizer with the Prince George's County Housing Justice Coalition, talks about student organizing and resources for immigrants.
This administration is not abiding any of the law, not going by any, the law is non-existent to them. So it's definitely scary to be an undocumented student, to be a DACA recipient and say, I'm going to, go to this rally and protest, and then they potentially might be at my school. So I think, what has to happen is these institutions like George Washington, like George Mason, or any university that exists out there, they need to put rules in play that when these agents come into, your schools or grounds or whatever it may be, that they cannot, access or detain anyone without a proper warrant. It's important to form, if there's no groups already that you feel like could address the need for immigration or immigration protection, create a group, right? Or go to that group that already exists. Maybe there's a local LSU, right? Latino Student Union, at your school that you can talk to. But I think that those groups have an important role because then, you're not speaking for yourself. You're a collective speaking for a bigger group. Students, right? I think students in history have always been revolutionary and folks that have caused lots of good trouble. So now it's that moment, to speak out and, defend those that are most vulnerable.
This is not the extent to the political advocacy that young people are participating in. Many well-known Hispanic and or Latino artists are speaking out against these attacks or even trying to get focus on other issues. A notable example is Puerto Rican artist Bad Bunny with his newly released album called Debí tirar más fotos, or I Should Have Taken More Photos. Debí tirar más fotos has given a voice to Puerto Ricans across the country, advocating for them to be able to stay on the island and keeping the culture alive in the midst of gentrification. Not only has it advocated for Puerto Ricans, but it has also taught avid reggaeton and Bad Bunny listeners to the importance of learning the history of a country and the importance of keeping culture alive. His album was initially announced through a short film of the same name, which directly shows the challenges faced by Puerto Ricans.
A member of the Puerto Rican Student Association, Alvaro Ramal, shares more on Bad Bunny's political activism through music and how it's influential.
He didn't really have to do all this, but instead of just like playing it safe, he went back to his roots, both musically and like politically. It's his most like politically driven album, and Puerto Rico really needed this. I know a lot of people like from older generations are like, oh, he doesn't matter, he's just a celebrity, whatever. But the influence that he has on just in Puerto Rico is insane. I can't like even get close to describing how it really is. In Puerto Rico, we've been dealing for many years, and more recently with like La Ley 60, which is like a law that gives incentives to like American investors to move to Puerto Rico for 6 months so they don't pay taxes. So we're being displaced heavily. So it is good that Bad Bunny is like doing that, so the world has a clear view of what's going on and the reality of everything in the island. So he's always like making sure to clarify that Puerto Rico is up here, you know what I mean? And then in Turista, for example, Turista is just it could be seen as a heartbreak song, but it's also a metaphor on like tourists going into Puerto Rico and not living the actual reality that Puerto Ricans are living through.
Bad Bunny is not the only artist who has used music for political advocacy, as artists like Kali Uchis have shared their experiences through music. Kali Uchis released a song in 2021 with artist Ozuna called Another Day in America, which plays on the lyrics and music from the renowned musical West Side Story. The song gave listeners a different perspective on the issue of immigration and how this country was built from immigrants. For GWN, I'm Marlene Orantes.
Thanks, Marlene. Our lifestyle correspondents Cassidy and Raina are here to break down what's happening around D.C. at the end of the semester. Take it away, Raina.
It's spring in D.C., which means a few things. The tourists are packing into the mall, the 8th graders are here on their school field trips, and the pollen count is giving everyone a running nose. But with spring being arguably the most beautiful time of the year here in our nation's capital, it also brings an influx of live entertainment and fun outdoor activities. I'm Raina.
And I'm Cassidy.
Here are some live events to look forward to this month.
Music is food for the soul, and we can't talk about live events without sharing some upcoming concerts. Gigi Perez, whose release a Sailor song went viral on TikTok last April, will be performing at the Lincoln Theater on April 29th. You can also see Grace Vanderwall, season 11 champion of America's Got Talent, perform at the Atlantis on May 9th. Australian rock band AC/DC will be performing at the Northwest Stadium in Landover, Maryland on May 12th. This stop is part of their Power Up Tour. And make sure to catch Shakira's World Tour at Nationals Park on May 31st. Tickets for all these concerts are on sale now.
It's finally baseball season. The Washington Nationals kicked off their season late last March and will continue to play into the fall. The Nats will be hosting multiple home games throughout the months, including the Baltimore Orioles, St. Louis Cardinals, the New York Mets, and more. GWN all college students can enjoy student discounts in season and save up to 30% off in tickets by verifying their enrollment on the Nationals website.
Looking to stay close to home? Then check out these upcoming student performances. GW's student theater companies have a jam-packed lineup. Forbidden Planet Productions will be performing Little Women tonight through Sunday at the West Hall Black Box Theater. They will also be presenting Legally Blonde April 24th through the 26th. Make sure to catch Generic Theater Company's production of Fun Home on April 17th through the 19th. And don't miss GW Shakespeare Company's run of Galatea from April 24th through the 26th. For more information on how to purchase tickets, check out @GWU Student Theater on Instagram, along with each company's respective Instagram accounts. Lastly, to close out the semester, GW's Corcoran School of the Arts and Design will be hosting its annual Next Festival. This showcase celebrates graduating students' projects across studio arts, dance, design, photography, theater, and music. Make sure to check it out at the Flag Building and visit Corcoran's home website for more information.
And to finish off cherry blossom season, the National Cherry Blossom Parade will be happening this Saturday, April 12th from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Constitutional Avenue will be filled with festive floats, enormous helium balloons, marching bands, and special guests like Ariel, Mickey, and Minnie Mouse from Walt Disney World Resort, and of course, more cherry blossoms than you can count. Get tickets for seating on their website or walk along the parade to take in all the sights spring has to offer. Don't miss this fun spring display you can find only in DC.
Well, so many fun events to do before
Yes.
the semester ends. I'm really looking forward to be outside, see the cherry blossoms. I got to see them right before peak bloom, but to actually see them when they're in all their glory is going to be really exciting. What's everyone else's plans?
For sure, the Nationals Park will definitely be hearing from me. I am a huge baseball fan. Go Yankees. And also, I'm a huge Shakira fan, so it's looking like I will be a regular this coming summer.
Yes, you will be.
Yeah, I agree with Abby. I've been loving cherry blossom season, so definitely maybe you want to try to check out the parade. I think I heard Ken Jennings from Jeopardy's like the parade grand marshal or something, so a lot of fun guests. So
awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for the parade too. I mean, my pollen allergy doesn't love it, but I love watching, seeing all the flowers, and they were so pretty on the mall and that, so I think the parade will be really fun. But I also really want to go to Nats game because I like seeing baseball games. I don't like sports, but I like baseball, so it's fun environment, you know.
And I have to do my theater plug, so you all need to go to do student theater and see the next festival because I got a lot of friends doing all of that. So thank you so much, both of you, for being part of this.
Thank you so much for that wonderful array of events. GW's Residence Hall Association held a cherry blossom dance on the Mount Vernon campus Tuesday night. RHA invited all students to come to Post Hall to celebrate the cherry blossoms in collaboration with Buff and Bloom Week. Attendees were challenged to a friendly waltz-off where students partnered and showed off their waltz dancing skills.
If you didn't know, it's cherry blossom season, and former President Barack Obama knew it as well. He accidentally photobombed a family's cherry blossom photo last week when snapping photos of the Tidal Basin, Virginia residents Portia Moore and Damian Thomas were very surprised to see Obama casually walking by in the background, enjoying the iconic blooms. Obama later quipped on Instagram, quote, "Hope you enjoyed peak bloom, my bad for stepping into the shot," end quote.
For GWN, I'm Nina Rodriguez.
Before signing off for my final time, I want to thank a few people that have made my time at GW so special, and that is my G-Week GWN family. Having to be somewhere at 8 a.m. every Friday morning is not the ideal situation for most college students, but I would not have traded that time I spent in this studio for anything. I have made so many great friends and bonds during my time in G-Week. All the late night edit sessions, random shooting locations and malfunctions, and working on the fly in the control room when something isn't working. I want to say thank you to all the wonderful people I've had the pleasure to work with and for these last 4 years. Thank you to my fellow reporters and writers. Thank you to Avanti and Nina for being great co-anchors, and Jack for being a subpar one. Thank you to my EPs Madeline and Matthew, Alina and Claire, Emma Grace, and now Preston and Ellie. And thank you especially to Marisol and Brooke, who were my partners in crime when putting this show together. There are too many people to thank, so I'm just going to say that I am so proud of all the hard work everyone puts into these shows each month. I will continue to be a viewer when I'm gone because this show will always be home. That's all for me. But before we go, I want everyone in GWN to come out here and wish GW a happy summer. Come on.
Thank you.
I'm gonna cry. Well, come on.
Happy summer. Thank you so much for watching George Washington News.